Emotional intellect. There is no relationship between a person's intelligence quotient, IQ, and success. Far from the most smart people reach the heights of success. For example, J. Bush Jr. smiley face. At the same time, some geniuses lead a miserable life and cannot understand themselves. I think you know some professor who can be said that way. The success of a person directly depends on his emotional intelligence, EQ. For the first time, this idea was voiced by David Goleman in the book of the same name. There are many definitions of emotional intelligence, but I will give my own. Emotional intelligence is the skill of understanding your feelings and emotions. Many call emotional intelligence in other words, but the essence of this does not change. I think that Tony Robbins' state management and the acceptance that Steve Pavlina writes about so much lead to the same idea. Understanding your emotions and your ulterior motives to effectively interact with the world around you. As Wikipedia says, there is no generally accepted method for measuring emotional intelligence. You can measure it yourself, use some kind of tests, or evaluate your success in this world. However, I noticed one interesting thing. The level of emotional intelligence can be compared with the scale described in the article Levels of Consciousness. There are more than a dozen levels. I will roughly reduce them to 3. Overwhelmed by your emotions. Low self-esteem, guilt, and depression indicate low emotional intelligence. A person cannot understand himself and the reason for his feelings. His mood deteriorates, and he becomes unable to effectively interact with the outside world. This means complete personal failure, dissatisfied with oneself, and social failure, achieved nothing. Emotion management. Discipline indicates a developed emotional intelligence. Here a person understands part of his hidden motives and learns to manage his condition, time, motivate himself. This approach allows you to effectively interact with the outside world, achieve some goals and achieve some success. Observation of emotions. Enlightenment means the highest emotional intelligence. A person ceases to be a slave to his emotions, but continues to experience them. There are no more hidden motives, but there is a clear understanding of yourself and your intentions. Doubt no longer gets in the way. High emotional intelligence means the absence of internal brakes for self-expression, and, consequently, success becomes a logical consequence of any actions of a person. This is a rather vague scale. Some life events can temporarily take you up or down it, but it gives a general idea of the levels of development of emotional intelligence. EQ and negative emotions. One of the wonderful results of developing emotional intelligence is the reduction of negative emotions, and this is clearly seen on the levels of consciousness scale. I'll try to explain how it all works. Any negative emotion is a mistake in the picture of the human world. Worldview, an NLP term, refers to a person's many beliefs about what our world is like. As soon as any two beliefs begin to contradict each other, this causes a negative emotion. I'll give you an example. A person has a deep conviction, deceiving is bad, and at the same time another conviction, now I have to deceive. By themselves, these beliefs do not carry any negative, but if they start spinning in the head at the same time, then a sea of negative emotions appears: fear of making a decision and making a mistake, guilt for any of the two decisions, depression, anger at oneself, anger at people who are involved in the situation, etc. Developed emotional intelligence allows you to see their cause, a conflict of several beliefs, the cause of this cause, etc. behind the sea of negative emotions. Then soberly assess the situation and respond to it reasonably, and not under the influence of internal springs. In other words, emotional intelligence allows you to quickly deal with the causes of negative emotions, instead of experiencing them for a long, long time. All our suffering is the result of a misunderstanding of our nature. Buddha. EQ and leadership. Most books about emotional intelligence are somehow related to leadership. Today, this is a very popular topic, smiley face. The idea is that leaders are people with developed emotional intelligence. And that's why. Firstly, the development of emotional intelligence allows you to get rid of many fears and doubts, to start acting and communicating with people to achieve your goals. The power of leadership is used in different ways, either to manipulate people, or to do one big thing together. I'm not talking about the values of the leader, here the idea is different. Regardless of his intentions, he can achieve results with the help of many people, which increases the likelihood of success as a leader compared to a loner. This is why it is not necessary for a leader to have a high IQ. His EQ allows him to surround himself with smart people and use their genius. EQ and business. Developing emotional intelligence helps a lot when building your business. No, I do not urge everyone to drop everything and do business, smiley face. Some enlightened people work in charitable organizations, while other corporations are owned by downtrodden self-centered people. But usually it's the other way around. And here's why I think so. Moving towards any goal makes a person come face to face with many fears and doubts. A person with low emotional intelligence is likely to swerve under their pressure. A person with a developed emotional intelligence will come face to face with his fears and, perhaps, will understand, not everything is so scary, which means he will continue to slowly move forward. A person with high emotional intelligence simply will not have internal brakes, he will deal with fears on the fly, and will happily move towards his goals. Thus, the skill of understanding one's emotions is directly related to the effectiveness of achieving one's goals. Finally, in our society, many people's goals are related to business. Good reason to develop emotional intelligence, right? Smiley face. Fear kills the mind. Fear is a small death that brings oblivion. I face my fear, I will let it take over me and pass through me, I will turn around and look at the path of fear. Where the fear has passed, there will be nothing left. Where fear has gone, only I will remain. Frank Herbert. EQ and materialization of thoughts. One of the ideas of the article, Cause, Effect and Intention Embodiment. A person gets what he thinks about. This idea can be interpreted from different positions. The holographic universe, everything in this world is interconnected, the law of attraction, see the film The Secret, applied psychology, what a person thinks about, puts his strength into and achieves. Regardless of the point of view on this principle, practice shows that it works. A person gets what he thinks. The average person has thoughts running like cockroaches in their head, and behind every thought there is an army of unprocessed emotions. In this state, it is difficult to concentrate on one idea for a long time. Opposite thoughts immediately begin to attack it. What if, and if, maybe, what they think. With the development of emotional intelligence, negative emotions weaken their influence. It becomes possible to think clearly and clearly, which means paying the main attention to the main things. Thus, with the development of emotional intelligence, a person's dreams become reality faster and faster. EQ and personal effectiveness. Everything written above led me to the idea that personal effectiveness is a direct consequence of the development of emotional intelligence. Personal effectiveness can be viewed from different points of view: time management, discipline, religion, motivation, plans and goals. But for me personally, the study of personal effectiveness in terms of emotional intelligence now seems to be the most accurate approach. Emotional intelligence affects the entire life cycle of human development, from the dark times to enlightenment. The development of emotional intelligence means the transition from zombies to conscious living, moving from reactive to proactive behavior, from aimlessly wandering in the dark to effective implementation of one's intentions. And it all boils down to one idea that is simple to hear, but incredibly difficult to practice: understanding your feelings and emotions. Work on yourself. Unlike IQ, the level of which is largely determined by genes, the level of emotional intelligence, EQ, develops throughout a person's life. Developing emotional intelligence is the most difficult job people have ever faced. But it is this work that gives the greatest results, it is it that increases personal effectiveness. I have many motives for working on myself, here are just a few of them. From the point of view of emotional intelligence, working on myself allows me to get rid of negative emotions, achieve my goals more effectively, make this world and myself more harmonious and better. Pick yourself up piece by piece. I haven't mentioned the subconscious yet. Namely, there live unconscious emotions that control our behavior. And it is the subconscious that forms the basis of the personality of an ordinary person. To be more precise, the subconscious mind is a kindergarten for many, many personalities. One part suffers, the other rejoices, the third blames the fourth, the fifth is afraid of the sixth, the seventh makes plans independently of the eighth, the ninth seeks comfort. And all this at the same time. Therefore, people with low emotional intelligence are so often inconsistent. First one part of the personality, then another takes over. Perhaps one of the goals of our life is to put together our puzzle, put things in order in the subconscious and become a whole person. I mentioned holonomy once before, my second personal effectiveness meta skill. I want to draw attention to this idea. The development of emotional intelligence is not control over emotions. Control can be a useful intermediate step, but it is not an end in itself. Control is always opposition, the predominance of one part of the personality over another. Therefore, control and harmony are incompatible. Control does not help to become a whole person. To become a whole person, to collect oneself in parts means to achieve the harmony of life. And this is where working with your emotions helps a lot. EQ development ideas. Everyone has their own path in life, so my ideas will not suit everyone. But I know that someone will definitely find them useful. To hell with everything, take it and do it. Every time a person has any business in front of him, he has two alternatives: do the business or retreat. The first solution increases emotional intelligence, the second one lowers it. Let me explain with my own example. Some complex cases cause me negative emotions. If I take on such a task, unpleasant emotions stand before my eyes throughout the entire work. Like a red flag. Hey, hello, it's me, a cockroach, a bug, an error in your picture of the world, boo 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 smiley face. What are you going to do with me? Close your eyes, turn away and walk away? Or will you understand where my legs grow from? And if I decide to dig deeper, to understand its causes, it disappears, bursts like a soap bubble. Or, in extreme cases, crawls to the side and does not interfere with me for a while. Thus, get it and do it. For many centuries it has been an effective strategy for working on oneself, for developing EQ. Movement and sports. I have not yet understood the principles of this law, but I understand this fact. Unconscious emotions hide in the muscles and oppress a person. This is especially true for the back and neck. Therefore, morning exercises, massage, and even more so professional sports, allow you to knock out this unnecessary load from the body, get rid of pressure and look at the world more consciously. In my observations, athletes are usually cheerful people, and they rarely look like people at the bottom of the emotional intelligence scale. Planning. Plans are useless, planning is priceless. Jim Collins. From Good to Great. Planning allows you to come face to face with the reality of this world. And if planning causes me laziness, fear, or other negative emotions, this is a great opportunity for me to look into the eyes of those cockroaches that I once turned away from. Look and understand that they do not exist. And take the next step in working on yourself. Yes, ideal plans do not exist, each plan will change. But planning can be seen as a tool to get rid of internal breaks and doubts, after which the achievement of the goal becomes a simple and fun activity. Meditation. In fact, I'm not a guru in this matter, Yandex knows more about meditation than me smiley face. But here's an idea I want to share. One type of meditation is passive observation of your thoughts. Such meditation allows you to catch by the tail any negative emotions, understand their causes and understand their ridiculousness. IT people will understand me. Meditation can be compared to debugging a program. True, unlike computer programming, the result of such debugging is getting rid of unnecessary instructions that cause negative emotions. In other words, meditation is deprogramming. BSFF, PDF. This abbreviation began to appear frequently on the pages of my blog Smiley Face. Just when I was ripe for general cleaning of my subconscious from mental garbage, I met the right technology, simple and elegant. I don't use BSFF to find out what BSFF can do for me. When I understand the mechanisms of my subconscious, it doesn't make much difference to me what to use, BSFF, NLP or ABC smiley face. I use BSFF in order to collect my personality in parts, get rid of cockroaches in my head, remove the burden of unnecessary prejudices from my shoulders and find the freedom to lead a proactive life. And regardless of the technologies that I meet along the way, I will continue to do so. Lifestyle? I know the creators of the film The Matrix were in the subject smiley face. Some people follow the laid-down program, live for security, control and approval. Others are constantly asking questions and trying to understand their true nature. If this is about you, look into your feelings and find out what truth they are hiding from you. EQUP. Source: http://www.leaf.ru/. Read more: How to develop emotional intelligence.